Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Virtual Sim Leagues here for round number 5 of season 11. We take in the Bahrain International Circuit. My name is, of course, Shwmae Mike, going to be taking you through the action here tonight, and apologies for the delay, as it has been a bit of a ropey one trying to get everything get the stream going. But as you can see, we're in qualifying right now. 11 minutes left on the clock, and of course, looking at the drivers out there right now, as you can see, Yaham on provisional pole with a 28.8 as we're on board with David, who gets a big snap of oversteer coming into turn 10. And we are going to see who is going to be putting down the gauntlet to take pole position here tonight. Of course, this is the final round of the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific Trophy. So the first of the regional championships is up for grabs here tonight. And of course, we have Andreas, who is serving a qualifying ban here tonight. And he's going to be going toe-to-toe with Glock for that championship. And I believe there's possibility of an outside chance for Casper as well, but it's not looking too good for Casper. But in terms of the championship battle, it is 18 points separating the two drivers, so it is all to play for, and we're going to see who's going to come out on top, as is 27 points up for grabs. So there's definitely a possibility that Glock is able to overturn all of this against him, but he does need a little bit of help, and that's with Andreas getting held up through the field. But of course, with a shortened grid than what we would have hoped for this round, obviously only 13 drivers here tonight, it's going to make things more difficult for Glock to take the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific Trophy. Of course, 9 minutes to go in the session on the Bahrain International Circuit, and looking at the Bahrain International Circuit, 5.4 kilometers in length. Around a track that's been on the F1 calendar since 2004, and we've had such fantastic races in the past around this track, including the iconic Duel of the Desert, if you remember, when Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton went toe-to-toe around here, and it was a fantastic race, especially in that first sector. David coming back into the pits, as I believe that was Tech going up into P6. Got big boy Ewan out there on a lap right now, and of course we got Kieran on a lap coming for the final corner. We're going to stay on board with Kieran as he gets a little bit too much onto the outside curb, and that is the danger you run with this track. Take the mick out of the curbs will take the mick out of you. But big boy Ewan coming through the middle sector split now. See what the time is in sector 2. He's marginally down on his previous lap, only 35 thousandths of a second down on his time as he comes through the final sector now, approaching the final corner. And of course, to the line will come the McLaren of big boy Ewan. To the line he'll come. Is it going to be an improvement? It is an improvement, and gets him up into P5. We have a Mercedes coming through the final corner. That's going to be that is actually going to be Glock. So we're going to stay on board with Glock for this lap, and we're actually going to go for a full lap around Bahrain with Glock here as we run down in towards turn number 1, breaking at the 100-meter board down into third gear, getting the car rotated as we come through turns 2 and now through turn 3. DRS wide open once again as we run down to the approach of turn 4. We'll be seeing some side-by-side action through here, I can assure you of that. Now through turns 5, 6 and 7. Going to be very difficult for drivers to go side-by-side there, but it is going to be possible. Now into the hairpin of turn 8. Nice and smooth so far from Glock. Now through turn 9, and this is all about lining yourself up best as possible to take turn 10. Very easy to lock up the rear tyres and of course lose control of the car. But DRS wide open once again for Glock as we run down to turn 11. Fourth gear, upshifting into fifth through that corner for Glock as we climb up the hill now through turn 12. Getting as close as possible to the curb. As we see 9 tenths up on the middle sector, split 9.5 tenths up as we go through turn 13. Now it's foot to the floor, all the way to the final braking zone of turn 14. And then of course we have a bit of a right hand kink of turn 15. DRS going to be activated again, and to the line will come Glock in his provisional pole position for Glock as it currently stands with a 28.595. A good update from Glock as his teammate Nick Reesigan is out there on a lap, I believe, or he might have just finished a lap. He's currently up in P4 is Nick, and we'll wait and see. Nah, he's definitely on an in lap right now is Nick. Enzo and I believe that is Yaham coming to the line now. In fact, let's go on board with Yaham. Yaham into the pits actually. So we'll go back on board with Enzo. Enzo back into the pits. We've got 5 minutes remaining in the session. Just to remind everyone of the points, of course it is 25 points for a win, 20 points for second place, 18 points for third, 15 points for fourth, 12 points for fifth, then 10 points for sixth, 8 points for seventh, and we got points then going down to the final point paying position, which I believe is 12. So that is how the point system does go, which does mean that there is a possibility that Glock or Casper can overturn this advantage and take the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific trophy off of Andreas, who leads the way. He's currently on 80 points, and then you got Glock on 62 points, 18 points behind, and then 58 points for Casper in third. All three drivers are mathematically in with a chance, and we're going to see who's going to come out on top with it. So on board with Waitsy, currently in P3 as we come down in towards turn number 1. Getting the car rotated nicely through there, now through turn 2, keeping the traction going as DRS is wide open on the run down in towards turn number 4. As a big snap of oversteer there from Waitsy, and that is definitely cost him considerable amount of time, but we are going to see how these guys are going to get on as, Waitsy has definitely backed out. We've got Casper out there on a lap as well. Let's see what his middle sector, first sector split is saying. And he's 2 tenths up. This will put him with Yaham right now. So Casper on a good lap. A little bit shaky coming into the hairpin of turn 8 there for Casper. He's definitely going to be hoping for a big qualifying session, because it is a golden opportunity with Andreas serving a qualifying ban here tonight. It's an opportunity for Glock and Casper to really give themselves the best opportunity possible in terms of taking the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific trophy away as we go through the middle sector split. And again, Casper holds on to that 2/10 improvement, but it wasn't a purple middle sector for him, so we're going to see if he's going to find time in the final sector. Coming into the final braking zone into 4th gear, getting the car rotated. Waitsy retiring from the session. Casper to the line, and he's going to cross and do a 128.6, found 2 tenths in the final sector there. Big lap there from Casper. Yarham is going to be the next man to get us underway for a flying lap. As it looks like we have an AlphaTauri that has lost it through turn 4. I'm not sure whether that's David or Enzo. Only time will tell. But we're just going to stay on board with Yarham and see if he's going to be able to pip pole position away from Glock, as DRS is wide open for the Williams driver as we head down in towards turn number 1. Just over 1 minute remaining in the session. It is Yarham going to be the first man to set a lap time and be the first man to see a checkered flag as we run down towards turn number 4. Absolutely lovely there from Yarham. First sector split, 2 temps up. That is what we need to see from Yarham. Big time games in the first sector. Nice and calm with the approach through turn 8 as we got the matter in the chat. Unfortunately not here tonight due to being in Denmark, and as he said, Guten Tag from Denmark in the chat. Hopefully you're having a fantastic time over there, Matt, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you back in that for round number 6. But coming through turn 12 now, Yarham middle sector split, and he's lost time in the middle sector. He's only a 10th up. He's lost a 10th in the middle sector. This is big, because now Yarham might not be able to take pole position. He might not even be able to get on the front row as Yarham comes through the final corner. To the line will come the Williams driver, and he will set a 28.6. Does not get the front row. What about Nick? Can Nick get himself onto the front row? That's going to be the big question as he comes through the final corner. ERT Nick Racing coming to the line. DRS is going to be wide open for the Mercedes driver, and it's a 2/10 improvement. Gets himself up into P4. Meanwhile, we have an Alpine of Leroy coming to the line, and he's up into P8. We have the Haas Tech coming through. He's still down in 9th. What about Glock? What can Glock do? Glock weaving. I think he knows pole position is his, and he is going to be under only pressure right now from the AlphaTauris. Enzo not on the lap. David coming through the final sector, and that's a big improvement. 9 tenths for ORT David as Speed Gareth crosses the line, and that's going to be a 1 minute 30.3 for Gareth as David comes through the final corner. And what is this going to be for the AlphaTauri man? And he goes up into P4 with a 28.7. So coming into the final round for the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific Trophy, we have the leader in the championship, Andreas, serving his qualifying ban, and his 2 rivals still mathematically have a chance in taking this first regional trophy, both of them sharing the front row of the grid. Incredible stuff right there. As we run you through the order, it is Glock on pole position, and he does it with a 28.5, less than a 10th behind him. In fact, 800ths of a second behind him is Casper, who joins him on the front row, as we got Yarham just under a 10th off of Glock's time in 3rd. Then we got ORT David in 4th, Nick in 5th, Kieran in 6th, and Waitsy in 7th, Big Boy Ewan in 8th, Leroy in 9th, Tech rounding out the top 10, and outside the top 10 we have Enzo, Speed Gareth, and the championship leader Andreas. Of course, haven't served the qualifying ban, and of course we turn our attention to the Drivers' Championship, because as mentioned, obviously the first regional trophy is up for grabs, and 80 points is what Andreas is currently on. Andreas is currently on 80 points, 18 points clear from Glock, who is in 2nd place. Casper, 4 points behind Glock in 3rd. And then, of course, Tony, unfortunately, not here tonight. He's a couple of points back from Casper, but obviously was mathematically out of this regional title challenge. coming into tonight. But the three drivers mathematically in it is, of course, Andreas, Glock and Casper. Andreas going to be starting from the back, has a lot of work to do to come through the field. Glock's going to be starting from pole position, and Casper is going to be joining him on the front row. Remember, 18 points is what the gap is between Andreas and Glock. And of course it is 22 points between Casper and Andreas. So they need a swing of, essentially, Glock needs to finish minimum second. If he finishes third or lower, he can't win the trophy. He can't win the regional title. And Casper needs to win the race to even have a chance in winning the regional title. So it is stacked up against both of these drivers. And of course, Andreas is in the driving seat, and he is going to be that guy that's going to be incredibly difficult to beat. And yeah, time will tell in terms of who's going to be able to come out on top in the first regional trophy. And of course, the next trophy that we will be challenging for will of course be the Formula Euro Open, which will of course take place for round 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. But of course we will get onto that when we approach it next time we go racing. But currently we're focused on the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific trophy, and of course Andreas leading the way in that. So let's have a look at the team standings in the constructors. So it is the Alpines leading the way on 104 points, with 101 points going to the Aston Martins. Actually, nope, I have looked at the wrong ones. Whoops. I have looked at the wrong standings, but never mind. We will be going into the formation lap now. I accidentally looked at the tier 2 constructors standings, which of course is not ideal. So 29 laps of Bahrain awaiting these drivers, and of course we're going to be seeing who is going to be able to come out on top. And there we go, right there we go. I've got onto the tier 1 constructors. So the Mercedes boys leading the way on 113 points, 86 points for the McLaren team in second place, 80 points for the Ferrari in third, 78 points for the Williams in fourth, Alpine in fifth on 43 points, 40 points for the Aston Martin. The Red Bulls are on 35. 26 points for the Alpha Tauris, the Haas F1 team on 12 points, and then in 10th place, bringing up the rear, is the Alfa Romeos on 9 points. And of course we saw the strategy pop up there. It is saying a one-stop medium to the hards around lap 14, and of course we are seeing a lot of drivers opt for the medium compound tyres, and one driver opting for the mediums is of course Casper, who is still within a chance of taking the Middle East and Asia Pacific trophy. But Glock opting to go long on his first stint and be quicker towards the end. This could prove very pivotal for his race, because he doesn't want to get swamped early on. Yarham, Waitsy and Speed Gareth also opting for the hard compound tyres along with Glock. And big thing right there that Andreas is going to be starting on the mediums, going to be trying to make moves quick and early as he tries to climb himself up the order to get himself into a title winning position. Of course, 13 drivers all taking their spots on the grid, and of course we will be getting underway momentarily as we wait for those 5 red lights to come on, as the grid takes the grid positions. And here we go to those 5 red lights. Lights are out and we are underway here in Bahrain, and a good start there from Glock, immediately trying to cover off Casper as Yarham gets the move on Casper down in towards turn 1, 3 wide momentarily for the corner as Casper has been swamped through turn 1. He's going to be under pressure from Nick Rees again as Kieran and Waitsy side by side, and Tech is in the mix as well. Andreas getting the jump early on Enzo and Speed Garth as Waitsy there dropping position behind Tech as they were side by side through turn 4. Meanwhile, back up towards the front. Obviously, I'm going to say it now. Fantastic start from David in the Alpha Tower. He's up into P2 as Nick Rees again squeezed out by the Haas F1 car. And he is being swamped now by Waitsy around the outside of turn 9. In fact, like a big boy Ewan trying to go all the way around the outside. And that's not going to work. He's going to run off track. Andreas now up into P8. Now trying to figure out what is going to be happening in this race. I'm going to have to keep you guys updated on the championship permutations as we go through live. Of course, right now I don't really want to focus too much on it as we are very early in this race. I want to leave it just a little bit, but obviously Andreas up in the P8 already is good news for him, and it is bad news for Casper and of course Glock. But Glock has an 8-10th lead as Casper has pulled the second on Kieran in 4th place. So that's good that the top 3 have broken clear of the pack. And oh my god, Kieran has locked up his rears on the entry in towards turn 1. And you just saw his car just completely go from him there. And Andreas has been able to sneak his way up into P5. How's he managed that? Through all the carnage, Andreas up into P5 and now under pressure from Tech in the Haas, and it doesn't look like Tech's going to be able to get this done. But yeah, Andreas with a fantastic start to this race as Tech sends it down the inside, and the Haas F1 car, he sent it but it didn't work out for him. Andreas now holding on to P5, but Tech looking racy as he loses the back end, and yep, he's gone around. Tech has lost his car, getting too eager on the throttle coming out of turn 10, and that is going to cost him as we continue on through lap 2. A lot of mistakes coming early as look at this, Casper and David side by side as we climb up the hill through turn 12. Now through turn 13, Casper holds the inside line and it looks like he'll just about have this move done, but that has given Glock the gap that he needs. These two battling as, yeah, David not going to risk sending one down the inside into the penultimate corner. Well, honestly, the final braking zone, but technically the penultimate corner as Glock there with the new fastest lap, a 1:32.6 as Nick Rees again has been dropped by David and Casper as Waitsy is getting through on Kia. In fact, Kieran's going to try and hang it around the outside, but you can see, oh my god, Tech has retired from the race. He's come into the pits and he's retired from the session. As Kieran trying to get on to the back of Waitsy to try and retake P6 here. We're going to see if he's going to be able to get this done. But as it stands right now, going to be a very, very interesting one to see if he can get this done. As Kieran is not close enough at the moment to make this move on Waitsy, but of course he will be close enough if he can stick with him to have a look down in towards turn 1. Andreas all over the back of Nick Rees again for P4, and honestly P4 is enough for Andreas. I don't have to get the championship permutations out to know that P4 is enough for Andreas. I think even P5 is enough for him. So yeah, absolutely. So it definitely is going to be as long as things stay as they are. It looks nailed on for Andreas right now as David and Casper trading as Casper tries to send one back down the inside of David. He's just been overtaken with DRS, but he tried to send one back as Kieran gets through on Waitsy. Andreas electing to stay behind. In fact, Waitsy trying to come back at at the Ferrari. It looks like the Ferrari might have made a mistake because look at this. Now he's under pressure from Big Boy Ewan. He's going to look to the inside of turn 4. You got Enzo in the background under pressure from Yaham. What a shock start Yaham has had. All the way down in P10. Remember, he qualified P3. Was on provisional pole at one point during qualifying, but was unable to do it. And look at this beautiful helicopter camera of the overtakes that are going on right now, as it looks like Kian trying to get the move back on Big Boy UN. He was switching to the left, switching to the right, and was almost able to get his way past the McLaren, but it wasn't to be, and Big Boy UN holds on to P7. Oh, Leroy in the back, and that's brought out a full course safety car here on lap 4. We just saw that in the background. What has gone on there? Leroy has crashed out of this race, and we are down to 11 drivers. And honestly, for this man right here, he's not happy. He is not happy at all. Glock is going to be fuming that the safety car has been triggered here on lap 5, and he is going to be kicking himself. Casper into the pits, Nick Reesigan into the pits, Andreas into the pits, and obviously Waitsy going to be coming in, as well as most of the field. Yaham staying out, as is David and Big Boy Ewan and Speed Gareth. But this is an interesting call now, because Casper and Nick have chucked on a set of hards, so has Kieran, to go to the end of this race. Those hard tyres, while they can get to the end, are going to be very worn. Mediums for Waitsy and Enzo. Now, I don't believe the mediums will go to the end. I think it'll be incredibly difficult for the mediums to get to the end of the race, and there's absolutely no chance that the soft tyres are going to the end on Andreas's car, but this would be absolutely ideal for the championship leader to have these tyres on right now, because essentially he is going to be needing to pit again, but so is his closest rival in the standings, and of course that is Glock. And with that, it's going to be intriguing. I have a request to check, see if Yaham is lagging, and I am not seeing if Yaham is lagging, so I think Yaham is fine for that. Obviously quite worried about his internet, but does appear to be okay for the time being, does Yaham. So we'll keep an eye, we'll monitor that. But yeah, safety car conditions. Glock is fuming with this safety car. He had such a commanding lead early on, and it has completely evaporated. And now with Andreas making that pit stop, chucking on a set of softs, he's going to have so much pace to try and get himself through, and it's going to be almost impossible to keep these guys behind. Of course, turning attention to the chat, Matt is saying text Dunner Pete. I think he's probably referring to the lunge that we saw on Andreas earlier in the race down in towards turn 8. I don't think he means with the retiring in the pits. But of course, we have lost 2 drivers from this race, and that is of course Leroy and Tech out of this race. And of course something that you never want to see in league racing settings, seeing drivers crash out of the race, but it has happened for 2 drivers. 11 drivers remain. We're going to see who's going to come out on top. Safety car is in this lap now. For the drivers out there, as long as they get to the end of the race, they're guaranteed 2 points from this race. So as long as they get to the end, they are guaranteed 2 points, as Glock will back up the pack. We're going to go on board with David, who will wait for that Mercedes to get himself going in the right direction and to get himself back on the way for green flag racing. As Glock through the final corner, still holding the pack. We're waiting for him to go. And now he's gone, but it didn't look like he's caught David napping. It didn't look like David's been caught napping at all. Meanwhile, Casper absolutely on it. He is getting through on Gareth immediately. In fact, he has to give back up the position because I think he overtook before the start finish line, and he's going to try and hold it around the outside. Goes off track. Meanwhile, look at this. Andreas, Nick Race again, and Casper free wide through turn 2, as it looks like Andreas able to get that move and the double overtake there, as the Ferrari back under pressure now from Casper, sending it down the inside in towards turn 4, but unable to get the job done. Andreas so much more grip on those soft tyres. Definitely going to be making moves early on in this as Key gets past Enzo. And look at the grip that Andreas has. He's going to be able to send it around the outside at turn 8, and it is job done. Absolutely incredible grip on that Ferrari on those soft tyres. Meanwhile, Johan struggling there with a bit of rear lock-in as Casper gets through on Speed Gareth as well, and Nick Racigan getting through as well. In fact, Nick Racigan might be able to get through on Casper. He's going to try and hang it all the way around the outside through turn 11. Is he going to be able to keep his nose in for the inside for 12? No, he is not. Meanwhile, in behind, you got Enzo really hounding the back of that Red Bull of Waitsley. And it looks like Waitsley's actually got such a good run out of that corner. He's actually challenging Gareth here, and he's actually going to be able to get the move done. And yeah, Gareth going to be overtaken by the Red Bull, as up towards the front we're seeing Andreas getting through on Big Boy Ewan. And I think Big Boy Ewan must have made a mistake, because Yaham's also managed to get through. And look at this, Andreas wasting no time sending it down the inside at turn 1 on Yaham. And look at that, it's a big snap there from David. And now there's absolutely no one in between Andreas and his championship rival Glock. Absolutely no one whatsoever. And Andreas on soft tyres, Glock on the hard tyres. Both of these drivers are going to need to make a pit stop. These two are going to battle out on track for this race win. Of course, if it stays like this, Andreas will take home the first regional trophy in terms of the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific trophy. He will be taking that home if things stay as they are right now. But bragging rights to win the race and win it on track, that is going to be what these guys are going to be fighting over. Of course, you remember round number 1, it was Glock who took victory. Round number 2, we saw Andreas take victory. Round 3, we saw Andreas take victory in the feature race, which of course the main race. Of course, that was a sprint qualifying for round 3. And of course, round 4, we saw Tony take a win, as Andreas did with the new fastest lap. As David being overtaken by Casper. Casper getting himself into a position where he is battling and he is doing well. Meanwhile, look at this. Casper trying to keep it on the inside. Oh, a bit of contact, and oh no! And that is Casper out of the race. And that is another safety car here on lap 9. Casper out of this race. That is him completely out of the championship running in terms of the regional trophy. Casper is out. So it is now a 2-horse race. Glock and Andreas. Remember, 18 points was the gap coming into tonight. And in terms of where they currently stand, Glock is outscoring Andreas by 3 points, because Andreas does have the 2 fastest lap points. So it's only a 3-point swing in Glock's favour right now. He needs another 15 at the minimum. I mean, to be honest, I think he needs 19 in total, because even if they were level on points, I think Andreas might end up still taking the title. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe Andreas may have. They would have the same amount of wins, but I believe Andreas would have more pole positions and that, so I think Andreas would still take the title if they were level. And it is going to be mediums for Glock. It's going to be hards for Andreas. David has come into the pits and retired from the session as well, which is unfortunate for them. We are in a peculiar situation now, because the more drivers that retire, the more likely it's going to be that as long as Andreas finishes the race, he takes the first regional championship. But lap 10, we are under safety car conditions. There is still a chance that Glock can take the championship, but there's also a strong possibility right now with Andreas directly behind his championship rival that the Ferrari of Andreas will be able to hold off and will be able to take the title and be able to move on to the Formula Euro regional title, knowing that he's secured the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific trophy. So Andreas definitely has a lot on the line in terms of just carrying the momentum forward and extending the gap in the overall driver standings, and of course contributing to the Scuderia Ferrari team constructor standings. So it's going to be an intriguing one. Obviously, lap 10, 19 laps. I think the mediums they could go that long, but they're going to be so worn at the end that you're going to lose a lot of time for it. Waitsy into the pits as well. He's going to be getting off those mediums, probably opting for a set of hards to go to the end of the race. In fact, no, it's a fresh set of mediums. Fresh set of mediums on Waitsy's car. Of course, we are under safety car conditions. Obviously, looking at the minimum points that a driver can get right now. So, 9th place would be worth 5 points in the championship. So, if Andreas was to come 9th in this race and Glock was to win, Glock would take the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific trophy. If Glock finished 2nd and Andreas was 9th, then it would go in favour of Andreas to take that title. So that is the way things are looking right now. So Glock does need to win right now out on track. He needs to win. Andreas, as long as he finishes, as long as Andreas finishes within 18 points of Glock by the end of this, obviously he needs to make sure he gains 7 points, and that would be I'd have to quickly look back, but of course I want to make sure I catch the restart as well, so I can't be looking back and forth towards the points and everything at the same time, so doing math and commentating can be difficult. But Yarham going to be getting us underway on this restart on lap 11 of 29. A good restart there from Yarham. He has caught Nick Race again napping slightly, and that is a 5-second time penalty for Big Boy Ewan having a collision with Andreas, and he's gone into the pits as Kieran gets absolutely done by Enzo down the inside in towards turn 1. As you got Andreas getting through on Gareth in behind, and Waitsy going through there, and of course only 8 drivers remain. Enzo down the inside of Key, a little bit argy-bargy right there, but able to get it done. Meanwhile, look at this, you got Key now trying to fight off Glock. Big Boy Ewan has left the session, of course, coming into the pits and retiring just then, so picking up that 5-second time penalty for a collision with Andreas, and then picking up the speeding penalty. Obviously not the way that he would want it to go, as Andreas gets through on his teammate. Up into P5 for Andreas. Glock all over the back of Enzo here for the final podium position. Let's have a look on board with Glock as we go through turn 12 in towards turn 13. Oh, it's a bit of a Constantino effect, and look at this, Andreas comes through up into P4, and Key up into P5, Waitsy up into P6. And I'm wondering, is there damage on that Mercedes? Doesn't visually look like it, but yeah, a lot of work now to do for Glockers. Look at this now, with Waitsy gonna look for a double overtake, perhaps down the inside of both Ferraris in towards turn 1. He's gonna be able to get Kieran, but he's not gonna be able to get Andreas here. And Waitsy on his ERS gonna look to the inside of Andreas, sends it down the inside. Look at that Ferrari hanging it around the outside, and oh, a bit of a snap there from Waitsy, and that means that he does not get himself back into P4, as Glock able to get the move done on Kieran in behind, and look at that, Kieran trying to send it around the outside. Glock moving over and blocking that attempt there from Kieran, as we had a fantastic helicopter shot of that. And look at the top 3 now, as Andreas is going to be able to get the overtake done on Enzo, and now he's up into P3. And honestly, with Glock down in P6, and with there being only 8 drivers left, it seems like the only way that this could go Glock's way is if Andreas himself makes a mistake that leads to a DNF. That's the only way it looks like it'll go, as Andreas makes the move on Yarham. Up into P2 goes the Ferrari, and Andreas just looks absolutely nailed on for the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific Trophy. DRS is enabled this lap. Yarham into the pits, lap 14 of 29, as Glock up into P3, as both Glock and Waitsy get through on Enzo there for P3 and P4, and Glock is going to look down the inside of Waitsy now for P3, and he's going to get this move done, but Waitsy with a little switchback there can't get the traction though to challenge the Mercedes. And now, are we going to see a bit of Mercedes teamwork? Because Nick Racegan is of course ahead of Andreas. Is he going to back Andreas into Glock? That is the big question now, as Glock closes up. He won't have DRS on the Ferrari at this moment in time, but if Nick does a good enough job through turns 11 and 12, the Mercedes could get it, as we got Vesa going to be leaving the session, and surprised he wasn't racing. He might have just missed the start there, did Vesa, but look at this, Glock just about within DRS range on Andreas, and now The Mercedes teamwork has brought Glock back into play, but Andreas will be able to just cruise past the Mercedes now. And in fact he doesn't want to go for it. I think Andreas a little bit hesitant to make that move on Nick Reiseggen, but now he will move to the inside for turn 4, and down the inside he'll go. Nick Reiseggen, nothing he can do but accept that he'll be in P2. And now of course, will he just move over out the way of his teammate and hold off Waitsy in behind Glock and give Glock a bit of a gap up ahead? Andreas leading the way, Nick Reiseggen in second place with Glock in third. And Andreas pulling a 1 second gap on Nick already, and that is not good for the Mercedes driver, and especially not good for Glock, because he needs Nick to at least make sure he remains close enough to Andreas that when Nick moves out of the way for Glock, he'll be able to immediately attack Andreas. Meanwhile, in the background, I think we saw Enzo go for a bit of a half spin. Let's see now as Glock is closing in on Nick Reiseggen, and he is going to move to the inside. I don't think Nick's going to fight it. In fact, he is going to actually fight it a little bit, and Glock a little love tap with his teammate, and that's not what they want. And these two battling is not what they want, because look at Waitsy now. It's going to be 3 wide going into turn 4 as Waitsy will hold the inside. Oh, contact between the Mercedes drivers and the Red Bull, and look at that, Waitsy up into P2, Glock into P3, and Nick Reiseggen goes from second all the way down to P4. Contact between the two Mercedes drivers and of course the Red Bull of Waitsy, but Glock not wanting to fully commit to the overtake into turn 1. Nick Reiseggen not wanting to commit to moving over and landing his teammate through. Left him wide open for a 3 wide moment with Waitsy, and 3 cars into one corner does usually end up in a bit of contact. But Glock is in P3. Nick Reiseggen is dropping down the order now. Those hards and the pace on him beginning to fall away from the Mercedes driver, but that battling has given Andreas a commanding lead out ahead. He leads by 3 seconds, and now we're going to see if Waitsy and Glock on those mediums have enough to close up on Andreas. Andreas right now is doing exactly what he needs to do to make sure that he takes home the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific Trophy, the first of the regional trophies here in VSL. But there is still all to play for. Like, there's still constructor points to have to play for. There's still your own individual driver standing points to play for. It is not over. You might end up not taking home the Middle East and Asia Pacific Trophy, but a big result here could really propel you going into the second regional championship, which is of course the Formula Euro Open, and of course that will be happening from round 6 to round 10. So we'll be starting that particular leg of the championship next time we go racing. But as it currently stands, Andreas looking nailed on for the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific Trophy, and he's going to do it in fashion by taking the race win. Remember, there were 3 drivers in contention coming into tonight. There was Casper, who was 22 seconds behind the championship leader Andreas, and there was a maximum of 27 points available. Of course, Casper DNFing earlier in the race, so definitely now completely out of the running in terms of the regional title. And of course the other driver being Glock, being 18 points behind Andreas coming into this race. He definitely had it all to do, and of course with the retirements that we've had so far, It has meant that there's been less work that Andreas has had to do to make sure he takes home the first regional trophy, but in all fairness, he served a qualifying ban and he's come through from the back to take the win as we look at Glock trying to send it around the outside of Waitsy through turn 4. Unable to get it done though, as he has to stick behind the Red Bull once again. But look at the gap, it's 3.9 seconds. The gap between Waitsy and Andreas. These guys battling is not good for their chances to take a race win here, but is working wonders for Andreas. We've had 2 safety cars so far in this race, and the first one Glock would have been absolutely fuming at because he had a commanding lead early on in this race, and that first safety car completely done him over. Then of course under that first safety car we saw Glock stay out on his hards and Andreas come in and put on a set of soft tyres and got straight on with the job, overtaking driver after driver until he got to the back of Glock. And then the second safety car came out, and of course they made the switch onto the tyres that they are currently on. Andreas on a set of hards going to the end, Glock on a set of mediums going to the end. Hopefully for Glock, he'll be able to take him to the end. I'm not entirely sure what the upper limits of the medium tyres are, but Glock closing up on Waitsy once again, but yet to be able to make that overtake happen. Meanwhile, we got Yaham closing up and looking for an overtake here on Speed Gareth, and it looks like it's going to be a job done as Glock stays in behind Waitsy there. In fact, look at this, Gareth going to try and fight it around the outside. Gareth trying to get a run on Yaham, but unable to do so. He is on 18 lap old hard tyres though, so not much grip left in those hards, and Yaham on 5 lap old soft tyres, easily going to have the grip to get that done. Meanwhile, Glock focusing on the back of Waitsy and looking at the gap between Andreas and Waitsy begin to grow and continue to grow corner after corner. I think the mediums are done. I think the hards are the quicker tyre now, and Andreas is just going to continue to pull the gap. Remember, it is not over until it is over in this regional title, as Glock gets the overtake done on Waitsy. Back up in the P2 goes the Mercedes driver, but Waitsy going to try and get a better run through turn 1 and 2 to set himself up for turn 4. He's on his ERS, but he can't close up to the Mercedes. In terms of what I was mentioning earlier, that it's not over until it's over. Andreas might have all the cards right now, but he has been shown to be prone to a mistake or two. Of course, last week, a big example of that at Qatar. And if that mistake was to happen again, and Glock would finish either first or second, Glock would take the Middle East and Asia Pacific trophy. So Andreas, even though it's in his hands right now, he has one hand on the trophy. The only one that can cost it for himself would be himself. Right now, he has a commanding gap. He has all the time in the world. The only thing that could really hinder Andreas is if, and it's a big if, he oversteps the limits of what his car can do and put it in the wall. That's the only thing that could happen that would take all the cards from Andreas's deck and put them solely in Glock's deck. That's the only thing that could happen. And of course, lap 21 of 29 is not over until it's over, but right now there's around about a 90 90, I'm going to say 98% chance that Andreas is on course to win the first regional trophy in the championship season. Of course, we are in a bit of a cool period in terms of the race. Of course, a lot of drivers spaced out as Enzo closing up to the back of Speed Gas, so they'll be battling soon enough as Waitsy and Glock, of course, will be dueling it out, I think, all the way to the end of this race. Meanwhile, Speed Gaff has been overtaken by both Nick and Enzo, and that has brought Nick onto the back of Enzo now. Remember, it was a bit of a gap between them, but overtaking Gaff has led to a closing of the gap between these two drivers. But Nick does have a time penalty, and Enzo is out of deployment on his battery. And Nick is going to cruise on by, take P6, and he's going to carry on. As Gareth going to come into the pits, and what is this going to be for? It's going to be for a set of the Red Bull soft tyres. Honestly, this man Andreas right now is just in a world of his own. Not a care in the world. I'm quickly doing some math in my head to try and figure out what Glock needs to obviously take the trophy, because obviously as it currently stands, Andreas has it wrapped up. He has it completely wrapped up as it stands. But I'm trying to think what Glock needs to turn the tables here. Obviously, if Andreas was to crash out this race, then that would put the chips in Glock's corner, but he still has Waitsy on the back of him. But it doesn't even matter if Waitsy overtakes him, because the gap is 18 points and you would get a minimum 20 points for coming second. So Glock would still take the title even if he finished second and Andreas crashed out. But if Andreas did not crash out, I believe for Glock to take the championship, and obviously for Andreas to remain in this race, if Andreas had an absolute calamity and fell to 8th and Glock went on to win, that would be the championship done for Glock. But Andreas right now doesn't look like he is going to be doing that anytime soon, and it doesn't look like Glock is going to be able to continue to hold off from Waitsy for much longer, as the battle between Nick and Enzo is it's interesting right now, because obviously Nick has that time penalty, but he does appear to be quicker than Enzo. So can he pull away enough to not be jumped by that time penalty? And also, let's not forget, this man in P5, Yarham on 10 lap old soft tyres is going to begin to be caught by Nick and Enzo. And once they catch up to the back of him, are they going to be able to overtake him? Can Nick build the gap with the penalty? These are questions that we will find out over the course of the next 5 laps. As Waitsy still onto the back of Glock. Not close enough to make a move as of yet. Waitsy is in a good position right now. He's in a very good position. All he's got to do is just make sure he stays within the DRS range of Glock, and he'll have the ability to jump him on the final lap. And of course he is saving his battery, but Glock's not really using much of his battery either. I think he knows what Waitsy is doing, so he's just trying to make sure he has his counter for that later in this race. Obviously Nick race again. That gap was already closed by a second between Nick and Yarham, and look at that. The gap has built up to almost 2 seconds between Nick and Enzo. It was only a moment ago when Nick got through, and now Enzo 2 seconds behind. This battle for P2 and P3. Obviously, it's not going to change much in the grand scheme of things for the standings in terms of the Middle East and Asia Pacific Trophy, but it's momentum to carry on into the Formula Euro Open. It's momentum. It's points for the overall championship. It's points for the Constructors' Championship. That's what these guys got to build for right now. Glock, obviously, he'll look back on this championship and think, okay, I wasn't able to get the Middle East and Asia Pacific Trophy, but I've had some strong finishes in the final couple of rounds to propel myself to take home and challenge for the Formula Euro Open. That's the way Glock's got to look at it right now. And for Waitsy, it's going to be about trying to get himself in position to really climb himself up the order as well, as he didn't want to go for the move on Glock into turn 1 there, so he's going to stick behind him for the time being, but he's on the ERS, he's on the DRS, and he's on to P2 right now. And yep, that is not going to be contested from Glock. Glock does have the battery at the moment. Nick race again on the back of Yarham, and Yarham flashing red, indicating he has below 10% ERS, and Nick is going to be looking at that, licking his lips at the possibility of getting it through on Yarham, as his tyres have completely fallen off a cliff, and Nick will possibly be able to not only get the move down, but also be able to pull away from Yarham enough to the point where he doesn't get jumped. He's almost got a 3-second gap to Enzo in behind him, and Enzo should begin to close up a little bit now that Nick is being held up by Yarham, and yeah, here we go, he is closing up a bit now. The flash of red light though on the back of Waitsy's car is going to be absolute joy for Nick here. As Yarham breaks the slipstream and tries to go off to the right out of the way, as Glock gets back through and past Waitsy for P2. As we cut back on board with it, Waitsy going to try and come back at Glock here. These two willing to duel here in the desert as Nick gets through on Yarham with DRS down in towards turn 1. Job done. Glock around the outside. Waitsy will have the inside and will be able to hold on to P2. What can Glock do? Better run out of 7. Is he going to look for it into turn 8? No, he's not. He's going to stick behind the Red Bull for the time being. Waitsy holding off right now. He's holding on to P2 as Nick Rees again has gotten through and past Yarham now, And he's up into P5. Of course, he does have a penalty. He needs to build this gap now. Lap 27 of 29. And a big snap of oversteer there from Yarham. Under braking in towards turn number 8. But I'm going to go back up to this battle. This is the closest battle that we have on track. And it is a battle for position. Normally, I would avoid looking at the time penalty for Nick, but I am intrigued by it. But of course, I want to keep the suspense. I want to keep the suspense to see if Nick is able to pull the gap that he needs for this point. And look at Glock coming through, using DRS to get back up into P2. Penultimate lap of the race. Andreas leads and will be taking home the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific Trophy as it currently stands. Glock in P2. He fought hard for it, but it was just unfortunate for Glock in the end, and it didn't work out for him. Waitsy currently having a very good showing in P3. As Waitsy closes on to the back of Glock once again. And we're going to be coming on to the final lap of the race any minute now. As Enzo's managed to get through on Yarham, and what a unusual place to be able to make that overtake. Looked to be what's called on the exit of turn 8 just as he comes through turn 9. As Speed Garth takes the fastest lap of the race and takes the 2 points that come with that. So Speed Garth will have 2 extra points in his bag. As Waitsy now. We're on to the final lap of the race. Andreas leads the way. Glock is holding on to P2 currently. But Waitsy, will he go for this overtake now into turn 4? He's using ERS, but so is Glock. And Glock's ERS saving has been able to help him out here because he's able to hold off on Waitsy for the time being. Waitsy will have 2 more opportunities. If he's close enough right now, he can go for a lunge in towards turn 8. But he's not close enough, so he's not going to commit to it. And that is smart from Waitsy. Turn 10, if he gets a good enough run out of turn 10, he can maybe have a look in towards turn 11. To potentially go side by side and maybe have a look in towards turn 13. Let's have a look at this run. And it's not bad. It's not bad from Waitsy, but he needs more. He's not close enough to a Glock right now. As we go through turn 11. Up to the hill towards turn 12. Glock is doing just about enough right now to hold on. But we got one final straight towards the final braking zone. As I'm going to go on board with Andreas as he comes towards the line. And he will take the win and the first regional championship of the season. He is the winner of the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific Trophy. Andreas is the champion of Middle East and Asia Pacific. Glock holds on for P2 ahead of Waitsy in P3. Kieran gets up, fantastic P4. Nick race again. Is he going to keep a hold of P5? And it's a 5-second time penalty. So I think Enzo is going to jump him. Yep, Enzo up in the P5. Yarham won't jump him though. As I have lost all audio in my headset. Hopefully I'm not entirely sure if everyone is able to hear me, but I have completely lost all audio from the game into my headset. So if you're in the stream right now and you can hear my voice, please let me know. But yeah, that brings an end to the race. I mean, Yarham comes home in P7, and of course Speed Garth does take home the final position in P8. And there he is on the top step of the podium. It is that man, Andreas, who takes the Middle Eastern and Asia Pacific trophy. He wins it in fashion. He comes from the qualifying ban, starting last on the grid, up the order to take victory. And what a victory it was. And he'll be absolutely chuffed to bits with the result here in the first regional championship. So we'll run you through the order one more time. It is, of course, Andreas who takes victory ahead of Glock in P2. Waitsy comes home in P3. Kieran in P4 with Enzo in P5. Nick Rissigan in P6. And then, of course, we got Yaham in P8. P7, sorry. P8 goes to Speed Gareth, and he does pick up the fastest lap points as well. And unfortunately, our non-finishers for today were Big Boy UN, ORT David, Casper, Leroy, and of course Tech 31 Racing, our non-finishers for the session. Now, that brings an end to the action for this week and brings an end to the first of the regional titles. Yeah, as in terms of the championship, now we are on a small break, so there won't be a race next week, but we'll be back in a fortnight's time for round number 6 as we head to the first round of the the Formula Euro Open, and the opening round for that will of course be Silverstone. And of course we will be joined once again by Jess, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, but of course that is going to bring an end to all the action here tonight in Virtual Sim League. But until next time guys, hope you all have a fantastic evening. Goodbye.